Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Slow English with Tom and Emma.
Hi, guys. It's great to be here. I'm Tom, and as always, I'm joined by Emma.
Thanks, Tom. We are so excited to practice more English with you today at a nice, easy pace.
We certainly are. But before we jump into today's topic, we have a small favor to ask.
That's right. If you enjoy our lessons, please hit the subscribe button and like this video.
It really helps us grow the channel. Now, let's get started with today's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our English Learning Podcast. I'm Tom.
And I'm Emma. Today, we're talking about something very interesting, traveling.
Yes, traveling is one of the most exciting topics. Emma, do you like to travel?
I love to travel. For me, travel is the best way to learn about new cultures and meet new people. What about you, Tom?
I love traveling too, but with my family, traveling is different from traveling alone. It's more challenging, but also more rewarding.
That's true. Traveling with family is different. Today, we'll talk about many aspects of traveling: planning, booking hotels, transportation, activities, and more.
Great. Let's start with planning. Kate, how do you plan your trips?
I usually start by deciding where I want to go. Then I research information about the destination, weather, attractions, restaurants, and hotels.
How long does the planning process take?
It depends. If I'm going to a nearby place, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. If it's a faraway place, I usually plan 1 or 2 months before the trip.
Do you use the internet for planning?
Yes, absolutely. I use travel websites, blogs, and social media. I also watch YouTube videos about the destination. This way, I get many ideas.
What websites do you use?
I use websites like TripAdvisor, Booking.com, and Google Maps. I also follow travel blogs. There are many good travel blogs with helpful information.
Do you make a list of places to visit?
Yes, I make a detailed list. I write down museums, parks, restaurants, shopping areas, everything I want to see and do.
That sounds very organized. How many places do you usually visit in one trip?
It depends on how long I stay. If I'm traveling for 1 week, I usually visit 5 to 10 places. If I have more time, I can see more places.
Do you visit all the places on your list?
Not always. Sometimes I change my plans. Maybe the weather is bad, or I meet new people and go somewhere different. I like to be flexible.
That's smart. Too much planning can be stressful. Do you book hotels before your trip?
Yes, I usually book hotels in advance. I look at reviews, prices, and location. I prefer hotels in the city center because it's easier to visit attractions.
How do you choose a hotel?
I read reviews from other travelers. I also look at photos and check what facilities the hotel has, like Wi-Fi, breakfast, gym, etc.
Do you prefer expensive hotels or budget hotels?
I prefer mid-range hotels. They're comfortable, clean, and not too expensive. Expensive hotels are nice, but I don't think it's necessary to spend a lot of money on accommodation.
I agree. My wife and I usually stay in mid-range or budget hotels too. We spend more money on activities and food than on hotels.
That's a good strategy. What about transportation? Do you plan how to travel around the destination?
Yes, we research that too. We need to know if there's public transportation or if we need to rent a car.
Do you usually rent a car when traveling?
Sometimes, if we're in a city with good public transportation, we use the subway or buses. If we're in a more remote area, we rent a car.
Is renting a car expensive?
It depends on the destination and the season. In high season, it's more expensive, but we usually find reasonable prices.
Do you have an international driver's license?
Yes, I got one when I started to travel. It's important to have it if you want to drive in other countries.
That's right. Do you feel comfortable driving in other countries?
At first, I was nervous, but now I'm more comfortable. The rules are similar in many countries. The main difference is which side of the road you drive on.
That must be difficult in countries like England or Australia, where they drive on the left.
Yes, my brother tried to drive in England and he said it was very confusing. He kept forgetting which side to drive on.
I can imagine. I've never rented a car in another country. I usually use public transportation or taxis.
Public transportation is usually good in cities. Let's talk about budget. How much money do you usually spend on a trip?
That's a very important question. My budget depends on many things: the destination, how long I stay, and how much I spend on activities.
What's your average daily budget?
For a mid-range trip, I usually spend about $100 to $150 per day. That includes hotel, food, and activities.
That's reasonable. Do you include flights in that budget?
No, flights are separate. I usually buy flights in advance to get a good price. I often spend $300 to $800 on flights, depending on the distance.
Do you look for cheap flights?
Yes, I use websites like Skyscanner and Google Flights to compare prices. I also subscribe to newsletters about cheap flights.
That's a good tip. Do you have flexible dates for travel?
Usually, yes, I can travel during weekends or take vacation days from work. That gives me flexibility.
Flexibility is important for finding cheaper flights. My family and I usually travel during school holidays, so our dates are fixed.
That must be more expensive because school holidays are peak season.
Yes, everything is more expensive then. Hotels, flights, activities, everything costs more. But we don't have a choice because of the children's school schedule.
I understand. Do you plan your trip around specific events?
Sometimes, yeah. Last year we went to a city because there was a big festival. We wanted to experience the local culture and see the festival.
That sounds interesting. Do you like attending cultural events when traveling?
Yes, very much. I think festivals and cultural events are the best way to learn about local traditions and meet local people.
I agree. Cultural events are amazing experiences. Do you plan your entire trip around one event, or do you add it to your itinerary?
Usually, the event is the main reason for the trip. Then we plan other activities around the event.
That's a good approach. How do you find information about festivals and events?
I search online for festivals in blank city, or I check tourism websites. Many cities have tourism information that lists all the upcoming events.
That's helpful. Do you book special tours or experiences in advance?
Sometimes, for popular attractions, I book in advance because they can be fully booked, especially in high season.
What kind of tours do you usually book?
We've booked walking tours, museum tours, and adventure tours like hiking or kayaking. We also book food tours to learn about local cuisine.
Food tours sound fun. I love trying local food when I travel. That's one of my favorite parts of traveling.
Mine too. Food is a big part of culture. Do you always try new food or do you sometimes eat familiar food?
I usually try new food, but sometimes I also eat familiar food just to have something I know. It's a nice balance.
That makes sense. Have you had any bad experiences with new food?
Once, yes, I tried a local dish that was too spicy for me. It was difficult to eat, but I was polite and finished it.
That was brave. I've had the opposite. I try something and I really like it. In Thailand, I tried pad thai for the first time and I loved it. Now I cook it at home.
That's a good result. Do you cook food from the countries you visit?
Yes, my wife and I do. We get a cookbook or we find recipes online. It's a nice way to remember the trip.
That's a wonderful idea. It keeps the memories alive. So planning is very important before a trip, right?
Absolutely. Good planning makes the trip much better. But we also need to be flexible and enjoy spontaneous moments.
That's the perfect balance. Planning plus flexibility plus good attitude equals a great trip.
Exactly. Our listeners, do you like to plan your trips in detail or do you prefer to travel spontaneously?
Now let's talk about transportation, flights, trains, buses, and other ways to travel. Eric, have you traveled by many different types of transportation?
Yes, I have. I've traveled by plane, car, train, bus, and boat. Each type of transportation has advantages and disadvantages.
Let's start with flights. How often do you fly?
I fly about 2 or 3 times per year with my family. We fly to visit relatives or to go on vacation.
Are you comfortable with flying?
Yes, I'm comfortable now, but my wife is a bit nervous about flying. She doesn't like turbulence.
I understand. Many people are nervous about flying. I'm usually okay, but I prefer window seats so I can see the view.
That's a good strategy. I like window seats too. Do you usually choose your seat in advance?
Yes, always. On most airlines, you can choose your seat when you book your flight. I always choose a window seat.
Do you pay extra for window seats?
Sometimes, some airlines charge extra for seat selection, but not all. It depends on the airline.
What about baggage? How many suitcases do you usually bring?
For a week trip, I usually bring one large suitcase and one small backpack. I try not to bring too much because luggage fees can be expensive.
That's smart. Airlines charge extra for extra baggage. My family and I are usually over the baggage limit.
Why? What do you bring?
My wife brings many clothes because she's not sure what to wear. The children bring toys and books. I bring cameras and chargers. Before we know it, we have 5 suitcases.
That's a lot. Do you check all of them?
Yes, which means we pay a lot of extra baggage fees. My wife jokes that we should open a shop with all the things we bring.
That's funny. Can you bring liquids on a plane?
Yes, but there are rules. You can bring liquids in bottles of 100 milliliters or less. You put them in a special bag.
That's the liquids rule. I always remember to pack my shampoo and toothpaste in a separate bag.
It's easy to forget. I've forgotten that rule before. Then at the airport, they took my bottle of shampoo.
Did they throw it away?
Yes, unfortunately, it was a waste of money. Now I always check the rules before packing.
What about the check-in process? Is it usually stressful?
For me, yes. I'm always worried that something will go wrong. My passport is lost, or my luggage is too heavy, or something else.
Do you arrive at the airport early?
Yes, I always arrive 2 or 3 hours before an international flight. It gives me time to check in, go through security, and not worry.
That's wise. I do the same for international flights. For domestic flights, I arrive 1 or 2 hours early.
What about security? Have you had problems going through security?
Once, they stopped me because I had a Swiss Army knife in my bag. I forgot it was there. They didn't let me take it on the plane.
That's a common issue. Security is very strict about certain items. Have you had any other problems?
No, usually security is straightforward. I follow the rules, take off my shoes, put my laptop in a separate bin, and empty my pockets.
That's the right approach. After security, do you usually have time to wait?
Yes, I usually have 1 or 2 hours before boarding. I use that time to buy water and snacks or to read a book.
Do you buy food at the airport?
Sometimes. Airport food is expensive, but sometimes I don't have a choice. I try to bring snacks from home if possible.
That's a good idea. I always bring snacks for the children because airport food is very expensive and not always healthy.
What snacks do you bring?
We bring nuts, fruit, chocolate, and cookies. The children like having snacks. It also keeps them happy during the flight.
That's smart. Do you allow your children to eat snacks during the flight?
Yes, especially if the flight is long. Eating gives them something to do. They get bored on long flights.
How long is your longest flight?
We flew to Thailand for 10 hours. It was a long flight with 2 children. We brought many snacks, toys, and books. It was challenging, but we survived.
10 hours is long. I've never been on a flight that long. My longest flight was 5 hours.
Where did you go?
I flew to Turkey. It was a nice trip. I visited Istanbul, which is a beautiful city with a lot of history.
I've heard Istanbul is amazing. Did you like it?
Yes, I loved it. I visited the Blue Mosque, the Topkapi Palace, and the Grand Bazaar. There's so much to see and do.
Did you have time to see everything?
No, I only had 5 days. I could have easily spent 2 weeks there and still not see everything. I want to go back.
That's the feeling I have about many places. You want to return and see more. Do you prefer short trips or long trips?
I like both, but I prefer trips that are at least 1 week long. That way, I have enough time to really know a place, not just visit the main attractions.
I agree. My family usually takes trips that are 1 to 2 weeks long. That's enough time to relax and see different things.
Let's talk about other transportation. Do you take trains?
Yes, trains are wonderful. I love taking trains. They're comfortable and you can see the scenery as you travel.
Have you taken long train journeys?
Yes, we took a 12-hour train ride in Europe. We slept in sleeping cars, which have beds. It was an interesting experience.
How was it? Did you sleep well?
The beds were small, but I slept okay. The children were excited about sleeping on a train. They thought it was fun.
That sounds like an adventure. Are trains expensive?
It depends on the country and the type of train. Regular trains are cheaper than high-speed trains. Sleeping cars cost more, but you save on hotels.
That's a good point. So trains can be economical. Do you prefer trains to buses?
Yes, I prefer trains. They're more comfortable and I feel more safe. Buses are cheaper, but I don't enjoy long bus rides as much.
I've taken buses and trains. Buses are definitely cheaper, but trains are more comfortable. Have you taken buses?
Yes, in Southeast Asia, we took many buses. They were long journeys, and the roads were not always good. The bus was often very crowded.
That doesn't sound pleasant.
It wasn't always pleasant, but it was an experience. We saw real life in these countries. It's not like traveling in a tourist bus. You see how local people travel.
That's true. Traveling like local people gives you a different perspective. Do you think it's important to experience local transportation?
I think so, yes. It's part of understanding the culture. You meet local people, you see how they live, and you learn the real cost of travel in that country.
That makes sense. What about rental cars? You mentioned renting cars before?
Yes, we rent cars sometimes. It gives us more freedom. We can go where we want, when we want.
How much does a rental car cost?
For a small car, maybe $30 to $50 per day. That's a reasonable price. Of course, you also need to pay for gas and parking.
Is it difficult to find a rental car company?
No, there are many companies at the airport. You can also book online before you arrive. We usually book online because it's cheaper.
Do you always follow traffic rules when driving in other countries?
I try to, but sometimes the rules are different and I'm confused. In some countries, people drive very aggressively, so it's stressful.
I can imagine. Do you have any scary driving experiences?
Yes, in India, the traffic is crazy. Cars, motorcycles, cows, and people. Everything is on the road. I was very nervous while driving.
Cows on the road? Really?
Yes. In India, cows are sacred, so they can walk freely on the roads. Cars have to go around them. It was very different from driving in my country.
That's fascinating. Every country has different traffic situations. Do you prefer to be a passenger or a driver?
I prefer to be a driver because I feel more in control. But sometimes it's nice to be a passenger and look at the scenery without worrying about the road.
That's true. Let's talk about taxis. Do you use taxis when traveling?
Sometimes, yes. In big cities, taxis are convenient. You don't need to know the roads or parking rules.
Are taxis always safe?
Usually, yes, but it's good to be careful. My wife doesn't like taking taxis in unfamiliar cities because she's worried about safety.
That's a valid concern. Do you use ride-sharing apps like Uber or Lyft?
Yes, I like ride-sharing apps. They're often cheaper than taxis, and you know the price in advance.
Do they work in all countries?
Not all countries. In some countries, ride-sharing apps are not available or not popular, but in many countries, they're very useful.
I prefer ride-sharing apps too. They make me feel more safe because you can see the driver's rating and information.
That's important. Safety is always the first priority when traveling.